Revolution Radio proudly presents live from Phoenix, Arizona, the Truth Denied Talk Radio with host Roxy Lopez. Join us here for topics you won't hear about on mainstream news, such as chemtrails, GMOs, nutrition, and conspiracy facts regarding your personal sovereignty. Humanity is 7 billion strong. We are the majority. And now, live from the Valley of the Sun, your host, Roxy Lopez.
And how you doing, everybody? Welcome to the show. Today is July 9th, Tuesday. We got a great guest on. We're going to have some really interesting conversation. And I know you're all into it. Anywhere from the strange sounds in the horizon before the big storm on June 17th. We're going to find out more about that and how Washington, D.C. grid went up in April 2013 and so forth and so forth. We're going to get Laura Lee on here in a moment to discuss a lot of this stuff, and I'll give you some background on Laura Lee. We're really happy to have her back. Laura Lee's a very busy woman, so we're just glad to have her back. You all loved her. The show went viral last time, and phone calls were just off the hook. So second hour, just know this. We will open the phone lines. That's all there is to it. No matter where we are in the conversation, we're going to open the phone lines, so we're going to let you call in. When you find out what Laura Lee Mistycah does, you're going to want to call in. I'll tell you that much. But hey, listen, I'm appealing to the public. Please, can you pay attention to what I'm about to say? So if you're in the chat room, hello chat room. If everybody's talking back and forth, can you stop just for a moment? I'm coming to all of you in great need. No, I don't need your money. It's not about that. I have a situation and I need your help, and it's as real as it gets. Let me back up a little bit and give you the dilemma. I can't even say the word, and I'm on the verge of tears. So this is hard to talk about. Please, I need your attention. Okay. I have a situation. It might not sound as big to you as it does to me. As you well know, I rescued a cat 9 years ago. He was abused and he was trapped. His name's Harley. You've all read about him because he's been diagnosed a year and a half ago with IBD, which is incurable. And thank God for Dr. Will Spencer, who will be on the show on the 19th. Thank God for him because he's really helped us with Harley. And Harley has made a full recovery until a few weeks ago. Here's my dilemma. And I'm going to use these terminologies that may sound rude of me. But those of you who have animals who just take them in a box and let them go in the desert, you are morons. You are sick people. What we have dealt with in the desert here is every now and then we find animals and we get them into the vet and we get them vaccinated and we get them neutered and spayed, and then we find good homes for them, my husband and I. We take them in, we give them shelter, food, water, and love. And then our last one was a pair, two little dogs. And we found them a good home. Thank you to D. Ochoa up north. What's happening now is we had a kitten stroll into the yard some 3 months ago. And we didn't know if somebody owned it. And anyway, I'm going to get to the point. Over time, we found out that it was lost. And we found out that another neighbor of ours who has 4 adopted cats was feeding it. But the weather turned really bad on us, and they kept the cats in their garage because they're renters and they don't have money to buy a house, and that's the rental agreement. Well, when the weather started to turn, they closed the garage door. They let us know that they were no longer going to be feeding. Noah is his name. Because they have 4, they have 2 that are critical, that they have to pay a lot of attention to. They can't afford it. I completely understood. But they wanted to let us know. And about a week into it, Noah was coming around here, the kitten. Looks like about 5 or 6 month old kitten. And I just couldn't take it, you guys. So I started to put food and water and some shelter out. Now listen, this is what our predicament is. Harley is a male, the kitten is a male. Harley is unsocialized. When we got him, he was at a rescue in Seattle. He'd been there a year and returned 3 times because he was so weird. And I decided to take him on and work with him. He's an unsocialized cat. He's afraid of people and he's afraid of other animals. But he's a great cat and we love him and he's ours for life. And we'll always be here for Harley. He's my baby. He's my love of my life and my husband's. But we were willing to try to see if we could work something out with the kitten. And what's starting to take place now is we haven't been able to get him over to the vet to get him neutered and checked out, etc. So we called everyone in the valley, all the pet rescues. And you guys, you have no idea, this has been grueling 3 months. And meanwhile, the weather's gotten over 120 degrees, and we're doing everything we can for the kitten. And he seems to be surviving, and he's very social with us. But he's not with Harley. And Harley's gotten sick again. And what we need to do is we need to find a home for the kitten, for Noah. Because Harley, if you know anything about IBD, it's stress-related. And Harley's been trying to be really good about this kitten living outside in the back. But now Harley's throwing up his food, having diarrhea, and we're now having to help Harley. And one of the main things that we were told was that the outside cat is causing him stress. All right, fine. Ask for what we need. I need somebody to please adopt. Now listen, not only have we called shelters, not only have we donated money to shelters to get him a bed, and we would continue to sponsor Noah. We would pay for his food at the shelter. We would pay for his vet visits, his neutering, and donations. And I got to tell you, something really weird happened today. Someone that we thought was going to work with us, a no-kill shelter, said to me today, I told them the situation and that we want to find Noah a home, that we will not be able to take Noah because of what is prevailing here. And we need to get Noah a home as soon as possible because we're not going to put him out on the street. Nobody will take him. And what I was told and yelled at, that I was part of the problem, that I should commit to adopting him even at the risk of losing Harley to IBD, that I was irresponsible, and that my choices were this: to take him to be euthanized, this is the kitten, or to take Harley to be euthanized. Even with, I've met the shelter more than halfway. I would pay for the neuter, pay for the vaccines, pay for the blood test for feline leukemia, pay for his shelter, pay for his food, and I gave them $100 already. And what they did is they ended up accusing me of being an irresponsible individual because I won't adopt the kitten at any risk. They had an agenda for the last 2 weeks, this shelter. We had a different understanding. And they basically hung up on me and said now they won't take Noah. And they kept my money. So I'm reaching out to the public because I'm in a dilemma here. IBD is stress-related, and Harley, for the first time in a year with working with Will Spencer, Harley's going backwards. This is a disease that when they turn, it's called turning. Once his intestines are inflamed, he will not be able to even drink water. He gets critical, and he can die. And then we have to use steroids and a number of other things to get Harley nursed back to health Last time it took about 3 months, and I documented everything on my website. I don't want to go through that again. And I don't want Harley to go through that again because some moron dumped a bunch of kittens in the desert. If you want to call in the show today, if you have an idea of how to help me, I have called every shelter, every rescue in the state. I have called people who take care of animals under the radar. They're all full. I need your help. And the call-in number is 347-688-2902 or Skype us in at Freedom Screen. I need a miracle, you guys. And sorry, I'm not very well composed right now. But I've been doing this for 3 months. And I can't seem to get any help from the community I live in. I've gone door to door. I've put flyers out. I've gone to the community boards. I've reached out. There's nowhere else to reach out. A friend of mine who lives in Texas said, go on your show tonight and plead to the public because there is someone out of 310 million people in this country, there's got to be somebody who wants us to adopt Noah. At least someone to take him for a week or two till I can get Harley back in good health because I'm scared. I need your help. If you have ideas and you want to help, if you're in another state and you want to help, please call me. This is what I do. I've rescued animals. I rescued an animal that someone came to me with in California. The kitten is at my home. Miss Kitty is at my home in my back patio. You can pick him up. You can pet him. He doesn't appear to be feral. He appears to be more like just scared of people, but he's not scared of us. He's in Casa Grande, Arizona, which is 45 minutes from Phoenix. I don't know where you are, Miss Kitty, but I'd like to hear more from you if you've got ideas. He needs a home. And I will say to you this. If Harley takes a turn for the worst in the next few days, I will have no choice but to take the kitten to the only place that will take him and euthanize him, which is the pound. And I don't want to do that. I don't have a picture of him, Steve Travesty. I will download a picture of him later. And thanks, Steve. So, you guys, it's a weird energy day on top of it. I don't know if any of you are feeling this. And Laura Lee's going to address this. And get me smiling again, please, because I don't know how I'm going to make it through this whole show. I'm Harley sitting here on my lap, and he's not doing well. He lost a couple of pounds in the last week. That's really bad. Something has to give. I feel like I'm being tested spiritually. I'm trying to do all the right things, and I'm getting all the wrong results. So please, even if you can foster Noah, please help. Please help. And I'm going to say that we're going to get help because you're good people and you have lots of ideas. And I'm just flat out run out of ideas. So thank you. I'll thank you in advance because I know that you will find help. I'm going to trust that. Even right now when I'm at my lowest low and I just don't believe in humanity at the moment. Thank you, Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty just said that she's going to call a friend in Cottonwood. And you know, Miss Kitty, I don't know if that's the same person, believe it or not. There's a woman in Prescott, Arizona near Cottonwood by Jerome, which is where you're talking about, I believe. And even she can't take him because they're everywhere, you guys. People are dumping their animals everywhere this year. It's insane. But thank you, Miss Kitty, for trying. And during the show, if you find anything that we can do, please keep in touch with us. Again, if you want to call in, the number is 347-688-2902. I am appealing to all of you. I rarely come to you for help. I need your help. I'm worn out. And I'm going to bring Laura Lee on right now because I know that Laura, I can feel you, Laura, thinking about this. Why don't you just come on the show, Laura? Welcome to the show.
Heidi, thank you. You know, rescue animals are very dear to my heart, too. As we talked about on the first show, I have rescue hens from the Turlock Factory Farm in California.
And Laura, honey, speak up because I don't want anybody to miss what you're saying, sweetheart.
Okay. Is that better?
Much.
Okay. So rescue animals are something very dear to my heart. Now, one of the things that when my hens got sick is I gave them bee stress vitamins. And I don't know if you've tried that for your cat, but it helped a lot. It helped to calm them down. And I'm still giving them that, all of them that, and it calmed my roosters down. They used to be really frisky, and it calmed them down. So you may want to try a good, in fact, I will send you some. I've got a really good formula that's got herbs in it to give to the cat to kind of get his nerves.
Harley's on quite a few things from Dr. Will Spencer, who's, a naturopath, but even bigger than that, like doesn't follow the total naturopath thing. So I appreciate that, and I can run that by Will Spencer. Will Spencer is aware of the problem we're having right now, and he has sent some amazing stuff, and I think that's probably why Harley hasn't turned the whole way. It's up and down right now, and we don't want him to turn the whole way. And by the way, anybody that's tuning in right now, this is not going to be a show about animal rescue. I just had an announcement in the beginning, and those of you in the chat room, if people are logging in and you want to fill people in on what we need, please do. It would be so of service to us if you could catch people up on what Laura Lee and I are discussing. And thanks, Laura. I think there are a lot of people who really do care, and then there's the few that don't, and they cause this dominoes effect in other people's lives to happen.
Well, and it is a challenge. I have an Indigo client that is a vet, and she was trying to open up something that was called the Family Pet Show, where they educated people on spaying and neutering their pets so that these problems don't just proliferate. And I feel like the tide is changing, but it's just taking a long time to gain momentum. And I feel like you're going to find at least one and probably two people to help you out.
Thank you.
Just so you know,
I
was getting two.
Oh, thank you.
Two possible or two probable people. You'll get to choose between two people.
Wow.
That will come to your aid, okay?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Come to Noah's aid and Harley's aid.
Everybody's aid.
Thank you. That makes me feel so wonderful. For those of you, by the way, who don't know who Laura Lee is, she is the author of a book called Kryahgenetics and the Simple Secrets of Human Alchemy, which is sold out and waiting for a second release. Good for you, Laura Lee. And then, of course, Living in an Indigo House, which a lot of you are very curious about. I had a couple of you write in to the show before Laura Lee came on and saying, is there an indigo wave too? And so we can talk about that too. I'll ask that question later on the show. And, Laura Lee's also, she has another book, The Anatomy of the Porn Vibration, what they didn't teach you.
That one's not out yet.
That's
in the works.
That's in the works. Never mind.
That's in the works.
That's going to be successful. That's all I know.
Yeah, that will, just because of the name.
It will be. And we can talk a little bit about that, like what that's all about. That comes up a lot as well. And Laura Lee has also written articles explaining the weird and the bizarre, including contributions for Brad Steiger's new books, Real Zombies, The Living Dead, and Creatures of the Apocalypse, and Real Werewolves, Mutant Shapeshifters, and Horrors of the Night. I think that sounds fascinating. And Laura, you've been on in the cutting edge of the healing arts for over 30 years, both as a practitioner and instructor, and I'm sure that people would like to hear more about that as well. They were certainly interested the first time you were on the show. That show has gone completely wacko viral. And of course, Laura Lee is the founder of the steward of of the Knights of Mystic House, and teaches modern day Knights training courses. As a guest on numerous radio and TV shows, Laura Lee addresses many diverse and controversial subjects. And Laura Lee also lives in an enchanted cedar forest, which helps her get a more balanced perspective when the rest of the world is, going crazy. So, perfect show for you tonight there, Laura Lee.
Yes, it is a perfect night with all this crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, and so, before we get into like the strange sounds in the horizon before the big storm on June 17th, we'll fill people in on what you're talking about there. What is the energy like today? What is going on today?
I felt just prior to our show, like maybe a couple hours before, and it's been going off and on. It's like a low-level fear frequency, and it was, you can be just fine, and then it hits you, and like, what? And it's like you're afraid, but you're not quite sure why. And it's not gripping fear. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. It's like your body feels it, but your mind's going, everything's fine, and your body's going, oh, I'm scared. What are we going to do? Danger, Will Robinson, danger. And I did some checking, and I found I don't know what it was. It was some kind of an electronic device that was broadcasting this frequency all over the place. So I did my nightly duty, and I went and rounded it up and did stuff to it. Did a good sabotage on it. So
is it something man-made that's doing it? This device?
Yeah, I think this one is, and it probably is connected to the HARP generators. I don't know what kind of experiments they're doing now, but there's for all your listeners, if you feel weird a lot, just keep taking a deep breath and say, you know what, this isn't real, and try to move out of its frequency, like dialing into a radio frequency, try to move out of it, and that really helps. One thing that I do that kind of sounds stupid, but it works, and when I feel these, I just like flip it back, and it's like, no, you feel scared, and I send this to some of my favorite powers that be. It's like, no, if anybody's going to feel this crap, you're going to feel it. And so I put it to different ones, at each time, and within seconds it goes away.
Wow.
And so, if somebody's going to feel this fear and this anxiety, it shouldn't be the Indigo team that's here and the Cosmic Cleanup crew that's here. It should be the psychopathic powers that be. That's my take on it anyway.
How do we boomerang it back onto them? That's what I want to know.
That's it. It's just this instant. It's like standing up for yourself and saying, no. I'm not going to be scared. I don't do that. You do that, and just like flip it back to your favorite PTB and say, and then lock it in and say, there, you feel that for a while and see, how that feels.
Right.
And and it's different than just, sending it back with love. I send it back with neutrality. It's like, no, you have it. This is part of the karmic evolution, and I feel like it's my way of helping karma out. is by, giving this back to the perpetrators. Because until they feel some of this stuff, they will not stop. They'll just keep doing it, business as usual. One of the things that I'm really an advocate for, and that's why I love these rocks, these amorosite rocks, is...
Hey, and we're back, and thanks a lot for staying tuned. Man, Laura Lee, you did something very magical to me. You can hear it in my voice. You said there are a couple of possibilities to get Noah adopted to a good home, and then you changed it to probabilities, which was a word I was using earlier today when I was saying to the gods and goddesses of the universe that I need not a possibility, but I need a probability. And when you said those words, you helped me so much. And I just said to my producer, Thomas, in the Skype room, I just said to him, I feel there's hope now. I feel that he's going to get a home. So I want to thank you for that right off the bat. You've done something that I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to get through the show without crying over and over again. So thank you, Laura Lee.
Well, I still stand by that. At this point in time, it looks like there's two probabilities you'll be able to choose from.
I just thank you so much for that, and I believe you. I absolutely. Now, you were talking about these stones that you like to use, and were you saying that the stones stand for truth and justice?
Truth and justice.
Okay, yeah. Great. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, these rocks are, I call them karma's little helper. And we have been gridding cities around the world for several years now. And when we put in a grid, it's a 5-point grid. It's like, well, depending on the area, sometimes it's like 4 corners, sometimes it's 5 corners, and then the center stone. And when you place the grid and you're putting the center stone in, you hold the rock and you give it a job to do and a command, and you ask it to bring truth and justice and clarity and whatever else it is you want to have happen within the parameters of that grid. And then you place it and tell it to turn on. And when it turns on, you can feel the energy shift and move and lock in. Well, good news. We got Vatican City gridded in June of 2008. Then, which the Vatican City is the spiritual enslavement center of the world. Then the City of London, which is the financial control center. That was done in December of 2009. Then I'd had this wish on my wishing tree for several years, and it finally came true. Washington, D.C., the military power, was gridded on April 2013, just a couple months ago. And have you seen what's happened after that? That's when Snowden came out and said, you guys are not playing nice, and told it the way it was, and things are shifting and changing, and all sorts of truth and justice are coming to the surface. And I'm just thrilled, and I want to thank everybody that has placed these grids in their towns. It does make a difference, and the truth is coming out, and justice is being served, and so is karma. And I feel like that has been one of the biggest problems that we had. When you read on my website, there's a story of karma. And several years ago, we found the spirit of karma, and she was in a spirit trap. And the story is on the website. You'll have to go in and check that out. But she was freed, and after that, lots of karmic justices have been put into place. And if you go back in your own life and kind of see what things have happened since these dates, you'll see that things have really, really stepped up in the last few years. And I believe a lot of this is due to karma being freed and her sidekick Justice, and being able to go out and set things straight again. So yeah, these rocks, I love them.
Yeah, no doubt. And for those of you who, everything, Laura Lee's website is linked up at thetruththenigh.com, and we also just put it in the chat again. It's firstwaveindigos.com. Is that where they can find the information that you just stated?
Yes.
Okay.
There's links to my Mystic House site from First Wave Indigos. It's toward the bottom on the table of contents.
Okay,
so
great.
You'll be able to find that there. And also, I wanted to mention, I did write one other book, because we'll be talking about this later, and it's called Got Ghosts. And
Got Ghosts?
Got Ghosts. Got Ghosts?
Yeah.
And we also have a practical guide to ghost busting in that book. So, because we don't want to bust everybody's ghosts, we're too busy. We'd like to teach people how to bust their own ghosts, and there's a do-it-yourself ghost busting guide in the book. So
wow, how cool is that?
It's a funny book.
Can you just tell us? Is it really? Can you tell us just one way of ghost busting? Just one idea.
Tell us what? Say what?
Just one idea of how to ghost bust.
Oh, how to ghost bust? Well, you kind of have to read the book because it's kind of a long, drawn-out process. But the first thing you have to be is not afraid. You can't bust a ghost if you're scared. And we found that most of the ghosts are trapped and they're scared and they don't know what's going on. So if you have your psychic antennas up, you can kind of find out what's going on with the ghost and calm it down, and then open up a portal so it can get home wherever that might be. Now, not all entities go to the same place. There's, I've worked with ET entities, and they don't go to the same place that Earth spirits do. So all that is in the book, and it's just funny. We bring a lot of humor into the book. In fact, the the book starts out. Let me read you the first few lines of the book because it's really funny. It says, "It was a dark and dreary winter night." So how do you expect a book about ghosts to start?
Right. Ooh.
So that gives you a clue as to the humor that we put into that book.
Which is nice because, like you said, the first thing is to not be afraid. And so the manner in which you've written the book is in a manner of humor so that someone can actually get through it and not get afraid and sort of look at the lighter side of it all.
Exactly.
That's
And
good
I have
idea.
found
Clever.
that humor, and this is in my book, Kryahgenetics, that humor and laughter is one of the top keys that we have on this planet to deal with the problems that we have. And if you lose your sense of humor, you're in serious trouble.
Right.
And if you can't laugh, you're in serious trouble because that's one of your keys back out. And the book Kryahgenetics, hopefully we'll have it out within the next couple of months. I've got it with the editors now, and I've got some more. We're trying to get the graphics done, but by this fall we'll have that book out.
Oh, great. I think you were out of it for a while, haven't you been?
Yeah, it's been out of print for like 10 years.
Oh, that's a really long time.
It's been a while.
Okay. I think the last time you were in the show we talked about it, and I don't remember what ever evolved from there. But okay. Well, so do you know when it might be ready again for purchase?
Well, okay. The projected time is like September, October.
Good.
I'll have on the website once it's off to press, then we'll start taking pre-orders for the book.
Well, you know what? I was going to ask you. I'll just ask you right now and embarrass you on the air, but
Well, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. You have to have a sense of humor, remember? Laura Lee, I'm so glad you're on the show today. It's just perfect. Okay, in December, I do a couple of different shows with a roundup of several guests. And so in December, I'll be doing a show with probably 10 different psychic healer medium types, and anybody that's selling anything. It usually is at the end of November or the first week of December. So you'll definitely be coming on to that show. I don't care if you're in South Africa at the time, you'll be on the show. And then your book.
What if I'm on Mars? Then what?
Well, come on down.
Okay.
Anyway. And listen, if you have the technology or whatever you're doing to get to Mars, I'm sure you could tap into a radio show.
Okay, I guess you're right.
All righty. But I was going to say, and then at that time, we can bring up the book, because for sure it'll already be out, and maybe people might want to purchase it for a Christmas gift or something like that. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll make sure that you're invited to be on that show. And
that sounds fun. A bunch of psychics getting together. That should be really fun.
Yeah, it'll be really fun. Last time we did it, I think we had 11 people. And, it was just crazy. Thomas is probably sitting there as my producer right now going, oh, my God.
Oh, dear.
It's a lot to manage. But he's the bomb, man. He knows he can do this. But what happens is everybody comes on for about 12 to 15 minutes, depending. And, you just basically, what it's going to be is you give your basic sort of prediction for the following year, like one thing that you would like people to focus on. So at the same time, it's sort of a Christmas present for everybody and a little future casting for the following year. And in this case, it'll be for the 2014.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Oh, good. Excellent. So anyway, that's way off. And my producer, by the way, Thomas just said, sounds like fun. So there you go. You got his vote too. See, 2 for 2. So, back to this whole, and I agree with you, every time I speak with you, no matter what kind of stuff's going on, one thing that you always have is laughter. You are always smiling and laughing and chuckling about things, and I really appreciate that about you. I'm trying to learn how to do that. Sometimes I just cave in and I go the complete other direction, which is crying, and then I can come back and start laughing about things that are actually quite funny.
No, and that's okay. I cry on occasion, and then I laugh about it.
Right. Well,
but as long as you get the laughter in there, then you're okay. Because every once in a while you have to have a good cry.
It's a good suggestion. It really is. But anyway, okay, so back to this. I've been really intrigued by this because I don't know much more about it. What are you talking about when you talk about these strange sounds in the horizon before the big storm on June 17th, 2013? What is that all about? What is it?
It was the strangest thing. Okay, so I'm out with my chickens and my ducks, and I'm just watering and cleaning their pens and petting them and, just chilling out there. And I heard this strange sound that sounded like a cross between, those torches that you turn on and go.
Blowtorches.
And it sounded like a cross between that and maybe some really bizarre kind of bug or water going through a pipe. And I'm like, that is the strangest noise. And then it started getting louder. And so I checked the faucet, and the faucet wasn't on, and I keep going toward the horizon. Now, I live in a place where we're surrounded by a forest. So there's one little clearing, so I kind of was walking toward there, and it was like the horizon, or where the sun was setting, was like where it was coming from. It was like coming from the west. And I'm like, what is this noise? So I went and got my husband. I thought maybe it's just my ears, because sometimes I smell things and sometimes I hear things other people don't hear. So I thought maybe it's just me. So I get my husband, and he comes out, and he's listening, and he says, wow, that's weird. And he's like walking all over trying to find it. Could not find anything, and it got louder and louder. And then a big thunderstorm came through, and when it came through and started to rain, it kind of mellowed it out and it quieted down. You could still hear it, but not as loud. Well, now this thunderstorm kind of came out of nowhere, and we had it came in 3 parts with like extreme lightning. I turned off my computer and stuff, and it came in 3 parts, like every every 2 or 3 hours. Well, after the first one, that was like about 8 o'clock at night, I wrote to my Ghostbuster partner, Ronnie Foster. I said, the strangest thing happened. I explained it to her. I said, this is really crazy, but did you hear this? Now, she lives like 30 miles away to the west of me. And she picks up my email around 11 or 12, and she thought, well, that's kind of weird. And then at 1 in the morning, another wave of this storm came, and she was laying in bed, and she heard the same sound.
Oh, wow.
She's like, oh, my gosh, that is such a weird sound. And she gets up, and she looks around, and she didn't go outside because it was dark. She couldn't have seen anything, but she said it sounded like a torch or water or something, and she could hear it inside her house. So, it was pretty loud if you could hear it inside the house. Now, I think that the only ones that could possibly hear it are people that live out in the country, because people in the cities, I asked people in the city and they didn't hear it, but there's so much city noise that you wouldn't. I'm not sure what it was. And it kind of felt creepy, or like it was maybe not creepy, but not normal. And that storm was not normal.
Oh.
So it was probably had something to do with HARP, that they were probably experimenting with something new and improved or something. I don't know, but I just thought I would put it out there in case somebody else has heard something similar about that time or any other time. And maybe we can get some people that are scientific-minded instead of woo-woo-minded, and they can tell us, oh, it's just a figment of our imagination, or maybe there is something to it. But it was very, very strange, and it gave me the feeling of, what the heck is that? It not scary, just very odd. It's like
not a normal sound that you normally hear, or a storm sound, or this
sound.
No,
you don't hear blowtorches across the horizon.
No. No, that is odd. And I have some information about HARP, and it's interesting what you're describing, because it almost sounds like a vortex, like something running, right? Like a vortex, like a cylinder. And I was listening to, I can't remember his name. Maybe it might have been Nick Begich. You might want to contact him.
Okay.
Lily, because Nick Begich knows all about HARP, and he described a cylindrical HARP sort of vortex that goes from the Earth way out into the ionosphere, and the danger of it that he had expressed on Coast to Coast was that if a plane runs into that vortex, they'll explode. It's a very dangerous thing.
I will contact him. I haven't
Nick
had
Begich.
any contact with him for a while, so this would be a good reason to
why
contact
don't
him.
you do that, and then you have the date, the time, a few people, and then anybody else that has heard this, whether it be June 17th, especially on June 17th. But if you've heard this sort of sound before, definitely contact Laura Lee or contact us, and we'll get an email, forwarded over to Laura Lee. So. Wow, that is absolutely bizarre. And so to you, it just sounded not organic.
No, it was. It was. No. And if it was some kind of bug, I wouldn't want to meet them. Okay. If it was a swarm of some weird bugs, I didn't want to see what it was because it was too strange sounding. And I've lived out here for like 5 years. So I kind of know what sounds there are and stuff, and it definitely wasn't an animal. And the thing that was interesting is when it started to rain, then it calmed it down. And it seems like water kind of did something to it. So I will definitely contact Nick and see, because my first hit on it was HARP, that they were doing something funky with HARP. And that would certainly make a lot of sense, that it was some kind of a vortex, like you were saying.
Yeah,
so we'll get to the bottom of it, and then we'll get back and tell your listeners what it was.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, please do. Excellent. I'm glad you're saying that. So another thing I was going to ask you about, which we had you and I are supposed to discuss this apparently. What is with the? I'm not quite clear what this means. The Washington D.C. grid went up in April 2013.
Right.
And the Truth and Justice is surfacing facts about Snowden and the NSA. I imagine that's what you're pointing
right. That's what I was telling you with the Almorasite Stone of Truth and Justice.
Okay.
There was an Indigo that drove from it was like a 9-hour drive to get to D.C. from where he was, so that he could grid that. And after that, things started shifting really fast after the end of April when he did that.
That's powerful.
And so, yeah, it is powerful. And so I'm just putting this out so your listeners can watch and see what kinds of things are opening up now and what kind of truth and justice come to these cities after, not just the cities, but to the entire planet, because these three powerful places, the Vatican, City of London, and Washington, D.C., are the major triad that controls the planet. So once we got the third one in the triad gridded, it was like, oh, heck broke loose for them, and their power is slipping away.
Okay.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Happy thought.
Happy thoughts, yes. Well, and it literally opened up a can of worms, and the IRS scandal as well. I mean, that's the president is saying that he didn't know anything about the targeting of conservatives and groups and so forth with the IRS. I'm not going to get into it because that's just a long story, but. And then when the NSA thing came up, again, I know nothing came up again. And so I think it's very interesting because in both cases, with Snowden, they're trying to get Snowden back here, and any country that's volunteered to take him is not going to return him here. And they want to give him, like Ecuador, and then there was, he's being held. I don't have any new news. If anybody has any new news from today, I've been a little preoccupied today, but if there's any news on in Moscow, because Snowden was being held in between a baggage area, I guess, and just a holding place until they could find out who wanted to take him. Ecuador was one. Now I believe they have Venezuela has stepped up and said they'll take him, and it's going to be interesting. I think all of us need to be also focused and praying for Snowden. There's so much conspiracy built in around it right away, and I'm sure the shills got right in it from the get-go. To really confuse the public and say that Snowden's just a false flag and Snowden's it's all a setup. And at the very least, I mean, the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, no pun intended, that, that for sure underlined, we have all been listened to via cell phones, emails. They have breached our privacy big time. It's not cool. It shouldn't be allowed. It is not part of the Patriot Act, and that's my word on that. So yes, I have a question about the grid. Can people write to you or learn on your website how to build these grids that you're talking about?
Yes. It's all, if you go to the First Wave Indigo website and scroll down to the Mystic House, the portals to Mystic House, it has Aurora Light, Almorasite, Magical Mystical Stone of Truth. And go in there, and it will tell you all about the rocks, how to set up a grid, and the scientific qualities of the rock, and stories that people have told about their experiences with the rock. It's a really fun website and a lot of information. And these rocks, as far as I know, I have the only supply of them. There was a repository of them in the Rocky Mountains, and I don't know if there's any more there. I don't know if when my supply is gone, they're gone. I don't know. I've seen some that are similar. It's like aurora-like cousins, but I have not, to my knowledge, this is the only repository that there was, and it was in the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
So, so I don't know. I've got a pretty decent supply, but when they're gone, I don't know if I can get any more.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, and I do have mine because you sent me some. So the last.
Oh, good. Well, you hang on to that.
Oh, I got my stuff. I got my I got my stuff from you. So thank you. And then I was going to ask you, Laura Lee, can people can people build a grid like around their home for protection or anything?
Yes. Well, what I do if somebody say if you buy a pendant, and I tried to make these as affordable as possible. The pendants are only $25, and they'll last a lifetime, literally. And if something happens to your pendant, now every once in a while, since these rocks are interdimensional, sometimes they'll go away. And I tell people that if it's gone away, to call it back, and if it's not back in a week or two, that I'll replace it. And I've only had to replace a couple of them, and the funny thing is they came back after they were replaced. I said, okay, just keep them both. You must need them both.
Okay. Hello? Uh-oh. Thomas, are you there?
We're back live now. I'll get your guest.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry about that, people. We just dropped off the air, and we don't know why, all of us together. So we're going to get Laura Lee right back for you.
More than likely it was my internet for some reason.
Okay. Anyway, and so we're calling Laura Lee right back, and hopefully Laura Lee will answer the phone. Laura Lee. Maybe she doesn't realize we got dropped.
Hello?
Hi, Laura Lee. We got dropped off the air, and now we're going to a break.
We did. I thought it was funny that it...
And already here we are at the top of the second hour with Laura Lee Mistycah. She has that ability to just sort of make time just go whoosh right by. And as promised, if you want to call in and speak with Laura Lee, she's always happy to speak with you. 347-688-2902. Call in at 347-688-2902. And of course, if you have any questions or comments about the show and you happen to be in the chat room, can you please just go ahead and put your question in there, and Thomas will be happy to pick it up, and we'll give that question to Laura Lee. And so, Laura Lee, you were just talking about, how people can set up their homes and what you give them to do that, and then we lost you.
Okay, yeah. Did you hear the part about how the rocks will go interdimensional, and the gal found hers in her medicine cabinet? Okay, because I wasn't sure when you went away.
Yeah, we all kind of went away together, I think, somewhere. But yeah, and you were talking about the pendant, I think.
Right.
Okay.
So what I do for people is, if they get a pendant or a rock, I will give them a grid to set they're little tiny grids, and I wrap them up in tissue paper, and you can put them in your house or your office or your bedroom or wherever you want, and you can put them in with a thumbtack so that if you have animals, they're not going to haul them off, or so you don't vacuum them up. And you set them up just the same way I told you, one in all four corners. And when you set the center one, that's when you set your intentions. And so everybody will get one of those if they buy a pendant or rocks, and also a set of grids for your town. I want to get as many town grids as I possibly can all over the world. And if you go on the website, you can see where we have grids already. And there's more of them, but I just haven't been able to get them up. And so the instructions and everything are on there, and I'll give you instructions when you purchase some of these rocks, and they're just fun. You'll love them. And so if you purchase two things, then I'll give you two sets. I'll give you two sets of town and two sets of house grids. as a present. And
Oh.
also, if you buy a rock, they like to go in pairs, so I'll give you a smaller one complimentary so that they can have a buddy with them.
Well, that's very cool. That's very cool. And what is the feedback that you might get from some of your, some of the people that purchased and performed and did whatever, a number of things that they can do with these. I remember the first thing I asked you about the one pendant was, could I put it in my car? And you said, of course, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have them hanging in their on the rear view mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of fuzzy dice, they have a pendant.
Right.
And yeah, no, that's great, because then if you've got one in your car, and if you ever need a little bit of dust to go somewhere, you can do a small grid by just taking the cork out and sprinkling some dust wherever you feel like it needs it. So,
that's a very cool feature of that. For what we're describing right now, people, it's like a little glass vial with a little cork, and then it's got a nice string. I mean, you could wear it around your neck if you want to, or whatever. But like what Laura Lee was just saying, if you hang it in your car, and then it's like little fine dust, you can just kind of sprinkle it around you or what have you, and still have a lot of your little vial left. So it's very, very cool.
So yeah, I wear mine all the time. People ask me, "Well, do you take it off?" And I never take mine off.
Wow.
In fact, if I ever do, like when I have a massage, sometimes I'll take it off, but I hold it in my hand. It's like I feel naked without it or something. Here I am on a massage table, bare naked, but as long as I've got my rock in my hand, then I'm okay.
Right. Right. I know. That's amazing. And no doubt that you feel naked without it. You're so used to it. So I know what you mean. I really do. Let's talk about something real quick too. Not real quick. We can talk about it. There is a great interest, as always, when you've come on the show with the first wave indigos. How do you know if you're an indigo? Would be one question. What are some of the signs? And is there such a thing as the second wave of indigos, and what are the signs of if you're a second waver?
Okay, yeah, that's a very, very good question. If you go on the website, you can see what the indigo traits are, and if you hit 90% of them, also we went in detail on that in our last show, so you can pick up the first show. And also, it's really interesting with the book Living in an Indigo House. This book is like a real quality book. It's got quality paper, quality cover, and it's a wonderful book. So when you give that to somebody, you watch how they open it. And a lot of people will see it because it opens like a calendar. It doesn't open like a regular book. So if somebody isn't an indigo, they'll look at the book, and then they'll turn it to the side, and then they'll try to open it. And when they open it, it reads from top to bottom, just like as if you were opening a calendar. So a lot of them will turn their head and try to make it be a regular book. But an indigo will see it and then just automatically open it as if it was a calendar. And that's been a pretty foolproof test about indigos.
Now, why is that? Why is that? What is the difference?
I think indigos just know, and for one thing, it's different, and they just know. Okay, it's like an intuitive thing. They just pick it up, and they go, "Oh, calendar, okay, yeah." They don't try to turn it and make it a regular book.
I know I didn't. I just opened it, and it was like, oh, cool, and it's really colorful.
It goes from side to side instead of
It's a trip, and you're right. It's very quality, and it's colorful, and it's just full of neat stuff. That's one thing I really enjoy about you, Laura Lee, is that even with all the heavy stuff going on the planet, like really heavy energy, dense energies, bizarre energies, you tend to bring into my life and those that you your clients and so forth, color and things that raise our vibrations, whether we know it or not. And is that purposeful?
Sometimes. It's kind of automatic. I don't know. I think it's probably one of my indigo traits.
Okay.
To just bring out the humor and everything, and yeah, and it's funny that you would mention color in the book Kryahgenetics. What that literally is the encompassment of light and color, sound and tone, geometry and math, and love and compassion. And the symbol of cryogenetics is it's all over the website. You can check it out. But it's like the symbol of life. And the cryogenetics egg, I find out later, is kind of like the spiritual aspect of the rocks. So if you don't have rocks yet and you can't get them for a little while until your next paycheck, go to the website and look up this picture of the egg and print some out. And you can print as many as you want. They're free. And what I've been using this egg for, it's a marvelous thing for putting around your body. There's a cryogenetics egg meditation on the website on how to use it to clean out the electromagnetic debris out of your body by putting yourself inside the egg with the DNA helix going down the core of your body. You've got the star at the top and the diamond at the bottom, and you're right smack in the middle. And when you feel real comfortable in there, you start to take deep breaths, and as you breathe out, you let go of stress, and when it hits the shell, it instantly neutralizes it. Now, some people, when they get into the egg, it's kind of different colors, and some people can see through them, and some people can't. Whatever your egg does is just fine. Some are big, some are small. But start using this egg as a protective device. And if you're in a place that is really challenging, like if you go to a party where you think there will be challenging guests there, or if you go to the mall, put several layers of eggs up, one over the other over the other. Because if you're in a real negative environment, it will wear the shell down quicker. Usually it takes 24 hours to wear the shell down, but if you're in a negative environment, it will go down a lot quicker. And the good news is there is no shortage of eggs. As many as you can imagine, they will be there. It's awesome. And so one of the things that I found out also with these eggs, I didn't realize this, and this story is in the Ghost book. We were ghost busting the Amargosa Hotel and Opera House in California, and I kind of called it Hotel California because it was that really, really creepy place. And we were called upon to help some ghosts out, and we weren't prepared, and it was just kind of interesting. But there was this really nasty ghost there that was terrorizing all of the other ghosts that were in there. It was a crazy thing. He was a jerk when he was alive, and he's still a jerk. So I didn't know what to do with him, and I instinctively wrapped a cryogenetics egg around him, and then lowered my hand and told him, "Night, night, you're going to sleep." Well, we smelled the most horrible, nasty smell. It smelled like rotten egg gas. As he was swearing and cursing, he was really, really upset, and then he went to sleep. And that was the first time I realized that you could quarantine entities with the egg, and they can't get out. I do it all the time with ghost busting, and they will rant and rave and beat on the shell. They can't get out. So it's really a good, useful tool to have to help you out. Sometimes you're in the middle of these messes, and you're like, I got to think. So you hurry and wrap one of these eggs around the ghosts or the entities and put them to sleep so you can have it figure out what you need to do with them. So that is something that is free, and you can have as many as you want. And I have pictures of this egg all over my house. And in fact, I've got I have a Cafe Press account, and I put this egg on all sorts of cool things. And my favorite thing is a fuzzy white blanket. And I love wrapping myself up in that. And I have, there's glasses and mugs and mouse pads. There's all sorts of cool things with this egg on it. And it's really fun. So you'll have to visit there because it's got some.
Yes, that's fun. And again, the website that, we're referring to right now is FirstWaveIndigos.com. So speaking of that, the second wave of indigos, and I believe we did cover some of that on the last show as well, and yes, people can refer to that show to get a really in-depth look at the first and second wave of indigo. But what is the second wave, just in brief?
Okay, that's really good. The first wavers are, just briefly, born en masse between 1969 and 1987, and a third of them born in the baby boom era, with stragglers before and after that. Like I mentioned before, Nikola Tesla was a first wave indigo. Okay, so indigos are here. Now I've got these rainbow and crystal children and indigo children. They are not here to do the warrior work. They're more the peacekeepers and the stabilizers, but they're not the warriors. They're not designed for that. That's not their gig. That's not what they were trained for. First wave indigos were trained in one of the ultraviolet realms, either the one inside the hologram or outside of the hologram. And they are here on a service mission to this planet to help bring truth and justice and balance back. Now, once that's happened, once we get the PTBs where they need to go, which is, I don't know, in a funny farm or something, and we get everything all good and happy, then we hand it over to the second wavers that then they keep the peace. And it's a brilliant plan, but don't expect these young kids to be the warriors that the first wavers are. They're just not.
So I have a question about that. That makes a lot of sense. The peacekeepers, the rainbow and crystal children, the second wavers, are a lot of them right now the same individuals that maybe are in the streets of Brazil and the streets of Egypt, Cairo, Turkey, Iceland? Is that our second wave indigos, do you think? Because they're having a much different kind of way of reaching government and way of taking down authority figures who are tyrants and dictators and general disservice to humanity type people. Those who are in the streets are seen to be much more peaceful and leveraging on truth and justice. Is it possible that those are the second wave indigos?
I think there's both. I think there's first and second wavers there because now the first wavers, it's like all of the Occupy movements. There's first wave indigos. They're peacefully putting out information, and but it's they get trashed for it too. There's a lot of people that are on the no-fly list and people that have gotten hauled in for nothing. They're putting their necks on the line, but it's very important to know that they are there, and the anonymous movement and all the websites and people like yourself and all of the different news outlets now, those are first wavers. And yeah, we've got the second wavers kind of mixing in a little bit, and they will do a little bit of this, but that's not really their strong point. Their strong point is just to be peacekeepers and mellow and happy.
Well, that would be a good
fairies,
that would be a good balance in the protests around the world, because they could just keep like that nice, peaceful, loving vibe going, while maybe the first wavers are getting a little warrior-esque and
They're
out of control,
Exactly. The first wavers are actually the first wave, and it's like with any resistance movement, who gets the worst? Well, it's the people up in front.
Right.
And they have to be strong enough that if they get bruised and knocked down, they brush themselves up and get back up again. And these little crystal children, they just don't. It just doesn't work that way with them. And I'm going to be putting more articles on the website about the difference between the first waivers and the little children that are being born.
Okay.
And we'll have some more concrete information there, okay?
Yes, thank you. That'll be awesome. And, I can't help but ask, I've got to ask you about this. I don't think we even covered this last time, but, you have contributed to Brad Steiger's books, Real Zombies, Living Dead, Creatures of the Apocalypse, Real Werewolves, Mutant Shapeshifters, and Horrors of the Night. And I just have to ask you, are there such a thing as real zombies?
Zombies are cool. Zombies are in, okay? Zombies. Well, the article that I wrote wasn't about zombies. It was about terrors of the night.
Oh.
So I'm not really an authority on zombies, but I'm going to tell you this, okay? And I hope I don't offend anybody. But my daughter, she's got this like crazy, wild sense of humor, and she said, "So, if Jesus rose from the dead, he would be like the most famous zombie of all, right, Mother?" And I laughed. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what a bizarre thought!" And so, yeah, you never know. I think that there is. Are you still there?
Yeah, meaning that he rose again from the dead.
Right, he rose again from the dead. Yeah, it was.
All right, I'm
was
trying to find the correlation. Like, okay,
it was a very off the wall comment.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, I heard this dead silence. I'm like, okay, did we?
Oh no, I'm just listening. I was thinking.
trying to figure out the correlation
Yes.
between Jesus rising from the dead and a zombie. Okay.
Okay. Well, there you go.
It was just it's
Not to
adult
be
humor.
confused. Not to be confused with the living dead.
Right.
Okay.
So there are, I guess it depends on what your measuring stick is. There's a lot of living dead now. I mean, you see them, they're just like they're not even here. And there's so many robotic kind of people. I mean, there's all sorts of things. And as far as a zombie getting up and terrorizing, I don't know. There might be somebody. I've never met any of them.
Oh.
So I don't know. There could be, but I haven't met a zombie. So
Okay.
I guess I'm not the one to. I'm not the expert on
Not
that.
the expert. Well, I just had to ask you because you have associations with those who do know. So I thought maybe you heard a rumor. I just had to ask you. And then,
well, that's a good question.
right on. And then you contributed, you said, to Horrors of the Night. Is that correct?
Yeah. I had.
And what's that about?
I'm trying to remember what article because I've written several articles for his books. I think that one was on, and this story is coming out in his. I can't remember which book it was. Anyway, I wrote a story about the terror being, and it was a real being that would scare people to death. And we had a close encounter with that here. I've had a close encounter with it twice. When it comes to calling, there is someone or something that's going to die. If it doesn't scare a person to death, it will take out one of the animals or something. And I've had, one of my pet chickens died that way. And I was away from the house at the time. I was on a trip, and my husband called me, and he said he was scared, and he didn't know what was going on because he normally doesn't get scared. And this thing did visit him, and then it went into the basement where our our chicken was. She was sick, but she was getting better. And he found her face down trying to crawl underneath the closet, and in a very strange position. And when I checked into it psychically, what this whole story unfolded about this terror being. And you'll just have to read the story. It's kind of a long story, but to make, just so you know, I was able to track down who was behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been handled, so you don't have to worry about getting scared to death.
Oh, wow.
And now I understand being scared to death when people, because this terror being has been around a long time, and it would really scare people to death.
Mm-mm.
And so, yeah, but it's not around anymore, so you don't have to worry about it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Well, it's not around your house.
Yeah, well, no, it was like out in the cosmos.
Okay.
It's not there anymore, and it's not anymore anymore. Okay.
Okay,
we'll
I
leave it at
accept
that.
Yes, I'm feeling much better. At least
Okay.
I know I'm not scared to death now. Oh my goodness, you got to wonder where the terminology "scared to death" came up anyway. That's an old term. Hey, and here we are back in the last half hour. Laura Lee, so much fun you are. You're a trip. And thank you. It's just perfect timing that you were on the show today. But I want to get a little bit more serious. I think that's almost nearly impossible to do with you. But 2013, 2014, both years, that you had anticipated some revealing transparency, like with governments and things like that and so forth. Your clients and people that are coming to you, this year, and what you're foreseeing for the remainder of the year and possibly for 2014. What is their biggest either complaint or need or something that's missing in their life that they want to make better? What do you think is for the majority of the people coming to you? What might that be?
That's a really good question. It seems like most of them just want to get on track, know what they're here to do, and get moving on it. They're chomping at the bit. They're like a racehorse that can't wait to get out of the onto the track. And so what I do is give like spirit guide and guardian readings so that they kind of know who their helpers are. And it's interesting with Indigos, they have at least one dragon as a guardian. And most Indigos have like 15, 20, 30 spirit guides and guardians, so they have a lot of helpers. And the other thing that I do is give them their contract readings so that they kind of have a blueprint of what they came here to do, what they volunteered to do. And those things, when they're revealed to them, it really helps them put the pieces to the puzzle of their life together and gives them a jump start. And then they get their rocks and they get their house gridded and they get their town gridded, and it puts them on the fast track. It's like it's like the armor and the shield and the sword of the knight. It kind of gives them that protection that they need and that high spirit that they need to go out and do what they do best. And it also, what I found with these rocks is that it helps you to open up your psychic abilities and fine-tune them better. And when enough Indigos and Cosmic Cleanup Crew members really start turning on their psychic abilities, can you imagine what's going to happen? And that is the very thing that the powers that be are afraid of. They want to keep you, in these cycles where you never have free time, where you can't contemplate who you are, where you're in a job that's a no-ender, in all of these confining situations, maybe a relationship that really sucks. And so that you can't do what you came here to do, because if Indigos were free and had all of the support systems they need, they would just be launched like a rocket. So in a perfect world, that would be the way it is. This isn't a perfect world, and that's why we're here. And so what this does is just help them get a piece here and a piece there and connect to other Indigos and link arms, and wow, then it's full steam ahead. And I'm seeing this like it's like a wave after wave after wave of more really. I'm finding that my clients are a lot more serious now about things than maybe 10 years ago. And it's like, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? Help me get a jump start, and I'm out of here. And that's kind of what I want to do. I just want to give everybody like a jump start and get them going and teach them how to do their own thing, so that they can just go off and help other people, and they don't have to keep coming back. I don't mind if they do, but what I tell them when they've had a reading is like, okay, here's your some spirit guides and guardians to work with, and you start remembering them, draw pictures of them, and here's some of your contracts. Go work on these, and then when you got that down, then you can come back for some more, but help spread this information and spread whatever it is that you came here to do, and get moving on it. And so in general, and getting some of the implants out. Once an Indigo has gone through one implant removal with me, they're off and running. They don't need any more help after that. Maybe once in a while with something really tricky, but that Indigos are like so self-starting. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm on it. See ya.
Where do they get
really
the implant from, Laura Lee?
Oh, implants are everywhere. As we talked about on the first show, we have all the forced agreements. Well,
right.
Then there's organic implants, there's metallic implants. We've got people that have been mind control programmed by MK Ultra programming. There's social consciousness implants. There's ET. There's all sorts of stuff. You cannot go through this lifetime and not have implants. You just do. And this implant protocol helps you get rid of those and puts you in the driver's seat again. And that is on the website. And it really, really, really helps. Once you get a bunch of these off your back, you can think straight, and you can breathe better, and your energy field runs better, and it's like a different movie, and it's like taking the handcuffs off of yourself and taking the blindfolds off, and all your shackles are gone. You can get going.
The cool thing is what you said is that the Indigos basically are already aware, self-aware of that they're an Indigo, and so hence, you take the shackles off, and they're like, thanks, and they're off and running again. What is their response when you show them what they're, you read them, give them, make them aware of what their contract is? Or what's their response to that?
Most of the time they're like, yep, I knew it, and sometimes they're shocked. But then when they hear the other contracts, and your contracts will interface with each other, and they go, oh my gosh, oh wow, yeah, I get it, and then they go off and start working with it, and I've never had anybody say, that's a bunch of crap. Sometimes they'll at least they haven't said that to my face.
Oh, right. Wow, that is cool, though.
But they will say, I had hoped that you would say that, but I wasn't sure, or I felt that way, but it's good to get a validation from it. And sometimes it just kind of shakes them, and they're like, whoa, I don't even know where to start with this one. And then once they get more, once they find out who their spirit guides are, then that will make sense. What I found is that we have some very interesting people who have crossed over that have come back to be spirit guides. can't remember if I mentioned, but Amika, she used to be my office assistant. She was like a Siamese twin to me. Well, she died 5 years ago, and she was an MK Ultra survivor. And she promised me before she died that she would come back. And I said, okay, you promise. And then after several months after she had crossed over and I was getting her estate handled, I said, you know what? You don't have to come back. I said, you are doing so much work on the other side to help Indigos. They can relate to her better than a lot of their other spirit guides and guardians because she's been here. She knows the problems that we have. And I just feel a real strong connection to her. It's very awesome. I said, just keep doing what you're doing. Just don't worry about coming back. And she was so excited. She says, not that, I wouldn't like to come back, but she's just thrilled to be where she's at. She says, you don't understand. She says, I can be many, many places at one time, and in an instant, if I hear someone calling, I'm there. It's not like I have to get in the car and drive over there. She says, and she can split herself. She can, it's like handle, 10 different people at one time. And so she says, it's just different. She says, you'd have to be here to understand. I said,
it sounds like that wish that we all have occasionally when we get really busy and we wish we had, 10 more of ourselves.
10 of you to just go off and,
yeah.
I wish
it
that
sounds
a lot.
like It sounds like Amika's wish came true.
She's got it down.
I'm jealous. No, wonderful. Hi, Amika. You're just like doing your thing, babe. She's into purpose, and she evolved into that purpose. So, and that's good of you as well. That's a very loving thing for you, Laura Lee. And insightful to just get it and to say, oh, look, even though you promised, because it sounds like Amika would have honored her promise to you, so that you let go and let her do her thing. That's a very loving thing that you did with her.
Exactly, and she would have come back, and I'm like, you know what? No. What you're doing is so important, and you can do way more where you're at now than you could if you were in an earth body and confined to all the crap we have to deal with here. And she was so thrilled. So I'm glad that you felt the connection. You know what I'm talking about. Now I've got a picture of her on the website. It's one of the first things on the First Wave Indigo website, a tribute to Amika. And there's a picture of her. And this is it's called a Tesla synapse activator. Some people, I heard this comment that somebody said, "Oh, it looks like a bird cage. That's an MK Ultra thing. I think this is evil." I'm like, you don't get it. You don't understand.
What is a Tesla synapse? What?
Synapse enhancer.
Okay.
And when you sit in it, the first time I got in it, it made my head, it's like I could feel my brain moving. It was the most odd sensation.
Really?
And it's, since you're hanging, it just, because you're up, you're kind of dangling, you're not, you're dangling from a chain in this chair, and you just have this weightlessness feeling, and it's a very awesome, cool thing. If you come and visit me, I got it in my backyard, and I'll let you take a ride in my Tesla chair.
I want to, and I would definitely do that. Oh, you know it, absolutely. Oh, that sounds. It sounds like fun. When you say the brain moving, it's like I can't even picture what that must be like. So, I mean, you have my curiosity for sure.
Yeah. Well, it'd be great to have you come here. Maybe we could do a show from here.
Oh yeah, we could do a lot for the
Tesla
show.
Chair.
we who knows? I may end up being there sooner than you know, and I may bring a little friend with me. Anyway, sorry.
Friend.
My little friend, my little Noah friend, who we're trying to find a home for.
In fact, maybe I'll be one of the people that finds you a place for your kitty, and you can bring that up here. I don't know.
There you go. You never know. I'm just putting it out there. Now, just to back up just a little bit, because you got my attention on this. Can you just briefly tell us also what a cosmic cleanup crew is?
Oh, cool. Yeah. Cosmic cleanup crew, and a lot of the the light workers would be in this category. My Ghostbuster partner, Ronnie, is part of the Cosmic Cleanup crew. She's not an Indigo, but she understands Indigos more than most people do. And she does readings for Indigos and helps them along, and then sends them to my website, and then helps them understand why they're so weird. And she is Cosmic Cleanup crew. She's very psychic. She's very intuitive. She's very compassionate. She loves animals. And that's the kind of person the Cosmic Cleanup crew is. And I've done a few readings with Cosmic Cleanup crew. They're very awesome people. But since things are kind of speeding up and my time is limited, I've had to limit my readings to just Indigos, because that's what I'm here to do, is support Indigos. And so there's probably, let's see, right now, there's about 24%. It's gone up. It used to be that only 20% of the population was Indigos. It's gone up to 24%. More Indigos have walked into bodies recently. But Cosmic Cleanup crew is, let's see, they're like 31% of the population. So between the Indigos and the Cosmic Cleanup crew, we've got like half the world.
That's amazing, isn't it?
That's big. So,
and no wonder we have so much shifting and moving going on in the world. I also notice, and I don't know if you notice this, Lorley, but most likely you do. I've noticed that people around the world, like I've been speaking to people in the protests in Brazil and in Egypt, one guy from Turkey, a few people from Iceland. So I really, reach out. I talk to them. I ask them, their views on the United States. And what's really interesting is that they all have one thing in common. They've said a lot of things, but they have one thing in common, and they actually are saying that they're standing out in the streets for us. They're started the wave, if you will, throughout the world of what it looks like to not accept slavery anymore. And they actually all had one thing in common that they said to me, which is really chilling. And all these people that wrote me didn't know each other, okay? They were writing from different countries and different pockets of the protests. And they said that when America stands up, when America's time, and they have this understanding that it's not time yet, but they said when America does decide to stand up, they know, all these different countries know that it will be the end of slavery on the globe.
Awesome.
I don't know what you think about that, but and so they say to us, we stand in solidarity with you, America. So when they're in the streets, they're saying this isn't just for Brazil or Turkey or wherever. This is for all of us. So it's uncanny. It's not so self-centered anymore, or not self-centered. That's not the word. It's not so split up just by countries. It's like there's a unification that's happening in our hearts all around the world. It's pretty interesting.
Well, I felt that way when I was at the Occupy Monsanto March. And it's like you could feel the connection to everybody globally that was marching against Monsanto. And it was the biggest high. I was so happy. I mean, I was more happy than normal. I mean, I was really, really happy. And I could just feel the wave of connections, these telepathic connections and energetic connections all over the globe. And I had one of my clients that I just love, she's from the UK. She said that she was there and she ended up giving out pamphlets and things to the police officers that were supposed to keep them in line. So what they were doing is educating the ones that were, trying to keep them down. And she said it was amazing. So I know that feeling. I know that solidarity feeling. And the more that we do this, the more we'll feel it. And once you've felt it, you can't deny it. It is a global connection. And I'm really excited about the future of what's about to happen next. I think there's going to be some really interesting, unexpected events that are going to come our way pretty soon, and we're going to all want to be around for to see what happens. It's going to be great. There's going to be some incidences here and there, but in general, we're making a huge reversal of how things have been working on this planet.
What do you see for America as far as will we, or is it not available to you yet to see? Either way, I'm interested in your thoughts. For America, do you think America will get out in the streets and fight for all of humanity as well as the U.S.? And if you do see that, do you see a timeline for that?
I think it's already started with the Occupy movements. And, of course, you never see this in the mainstream media because it's all blacked out.
Yes.
That's just like with the Monsanto marches. Yes. Nobody talked about it, but I think AOL. So I think it's already started, and I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger and more as more people. I spread information everywhere I go. I give people those little boycott trader company little not little flyers, they're little pocket things that you can put in your pocket. And it's just, I think we all need to just educate our neighbors, educate those that are in, like the grocery store. I've talked to the grocery store people. It's like the more we talk, the more they'll know. They don't know unless you tell them.
Right.
I told the guy that owns the feed store that I get my chicken food from. He didn't know about GMOs. He just heard that they were bad. So I sent him what's that movie, Food Roulette or something like that. And it certainly changed his mind. And so it's happening. I see it happening, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And one thing I do know, Roxy, is that my informants have told me that we do prevail. And so
that's great.
Okay, that's good.
I feel that. I've felt that all along, so that's good to know. I think we've got
we didn't come here to put our tails between our legs and run away. No, we came here to make a difference and to change. To change
absolutely.
The consciousness.
And I'm glad that, you're another who just puts that forward, puts that forth, puts that into our consciousness as well. Listen, we probably have about a minute. The commercials just sort of show up right around at the end of the show, and so I don't want to leave us, saying bye. But I did put another set of also some interesting other websites that you're connected to. We did put that in the chat room, and of course, your main website is firstwaveindigos.com, and if you want to hear more about the in depth about indigos, go ahead and listen to that other show. I'll put that other show into this show's article as well, Lorley, so that people can get they can catch up, because it's your interviews are very timely and very informative. So we might as well use that to educate people. And what is the I don't know where anything new where you're moving forward, or like you said, you're just basically focusing on indigos right now because that's where your body of work is taking you.
Right, and I just want everybody to remember to laugh and to go neutral. These are some of the keys that are talked about in Kryahgenetics. And this is part of human alchemy. This is how you change your state. That laughter is indeed the alchemy that can bring you from being sick to healthy. I got rid of a curse, a horrible curse that was, it's like somebody had a voodoo doll of me and they stabbed me in the chest. And I was getting so I couldn't breathe anymore. I couldn't twist or bend. When I did sustained laughter with my Ghostbuster partner, we did it spontaneously. We were talking about the voodoo in my chest, and it kind of made us laugh. And I said, "Oh, don't do that. It's making me hurt to laugh." And I thought, "Oh, bingo, that's it. We need to laugh more." And we started laughing so hard and so long, like, I don't know, an hour of sustained laughter. We were coughing up phlegm. We were
Right.
we were on the floor. We were having to run to the bathroom and just laughing our tails off. And I could feel the energy of this curse, this black magic voodoo curse, start to break up with that. And the next morning, I was like 50% better. And then it just went away.
Well, that's perfect. That is a perfect way to end the show. And there you have it. And hey, everybody, we'll see you on Friday. And Laura Lee Mistycah was our guest this evening. First